Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this channel, I talk about everything related to one-year executive MBA in India. In my last video, I have talked about my interview experience at IIM or PGP-BL program, and in this video, I'll be talking about my interview experience at IIM Kozhikode. IIM Kozhikode PGP-BL program is a one-year executive MBA program provided by IIM Kozhikode, and you can find more details about this program in the description. I would provide a link to the PGP-BL website in the description below. The minimum experience required for this program is 3 years. The first part of the application process is phase 1. In phase 1, you'll have to write 6 essays, and the maximum word limit for all of these essays is 500. Alongside this, you'll also have to complete the other specific areas of the application process, and you can think of phase 1 as a complete application process in itself. Once you qualify for phase 1, then you move to phase 2, where you have to write another essay which is known as the alternate resume essay. And once you write down the essay and submit your essays in phase 2, okay, before I mention go to the interview part, there is one more thing. In phase 2, for the alternate resume, there is no word limit, so you can write as much as you want. Once you qualify for phase 2 and you submit the application for phase 2, then you move to the interview process. Let's get started with the interview. For IIM Kozhikode PGP-BL application process, I'll make a separate video detailing every aspect of phase 1 and phase 2. Stay tuned to this channel. Now let's get started with the interview experience. So my IIM Kozhikode PGP-BL interview happened on 3rd of August 2024 in a 5-star hotel in Bangalore. There were a panel of 2 professors, and honestly this interview was a bit grilling on my side, and I have written all the questions right in front of my camera in the laptop, and so that it will be helpful to you as well as I don't miss any question. So let's just directly jump to the questions. So there were no icebreaker questions, and the very first question that I faced was based on my work experience at SAP. Once I gave them an answer, they asked me to elaborate on that question, on that answer, and I was able to give a brief detailing of what I do at SAP. After I was done, the next question was the difference between a project manager and a product manager. I was asked this question because I had written in my application essays that my short-term ambition was to go into product management, and honestly I was not prepared entirely for this question, and which was a shortcoming from my side. However, given the work experiences that I had, and given my understanding of the role of a product manager and a project manager, I framed an answer and gave it to them, but they were not satisfied, and they asked me to clarify my answer, and they asked me to not give bookish definitions of this question. So I tried another attempt, but then again the professor was not satisfied with the answer again, and she proceeded to give me an analogy such as, if there are guests in our house and she's a very good cook and she knows how to cook the food, why would she need the help of a neighbor at the first place? So as in, a product manager is responsible for the entire product life cycle, or why does the product manager needs a project manager to help him or her with the work? So I proceeded to answer this question by saying that it is always helpful to take an expert opinion, and as a project manager basically looks into the budgeting aspects of a project and the resource allocation. So it will be helpful for a product manager to concentrate on the product vision and the product strategy. However, a better answer to this question would have been, a product manager works with multiple teams. He or she works with the design team, he or she works with the sales team, he or she works with the engineering team. So it is not viable for a product manager to concentrate his or her efforts only with the engineering team, and that is why we need a project manager in that place who can ensure timely delivery of the deliverables of the project. So this could have been a better answer, but as I mentioned that I had not prepared for this question, I fumbled a little bit on this question. The next question was from a point that I had mentioned in my essay. So in one of the essays I had mentioned about Sriharsha Majeti, who is the founder of Swiggy. So the professor asked me a question that who are the other co-founders of Swiggy except for Sriharsha Majeti. I was not aware of this question, and this question gave me a life lesson which I will not forget ever in my life, that whatever you mention in your resume and whatever you mention in your essays, you have to be mindful about this fact that you can expect questions on these grounds, and you should be absolutely sure of whatever you are mentioning. There's no halfway about these points. Anyway, moving on to the question. So as I mentioned that I was not aware of this question, so the next question they asked was, what did Sriharsha did in Swiggy which set his company apart from Zomato? Again, I was not aware of this question too, and I started beating around the bush. The professor was quick to identify this and they started grilling me on this question. The next question that the professors asked was, why did you mention about Sriharsha specifically? What did he do which his other teammates could not? So I had mentioned about Sriharsha specifically because I wanted to mention that although Zomato was in the market, Sriharsha took that initiative to plunge Swiggy in the market despite the presence of a strong competitor. It is similar on the lines that I was also thinking about doing with my passion project. I had started an initiative based on the solving the rental problems of Bangalore, but I would make a separate video on that case. Again, for coming back to the interview, so I could not answer these questions as I was not aware of these questions. So, and I started giving irrelevant answers. The professors had a laugh about this among themselves, and they said that I was not aware of Sriharsha Majeti at all, and I might have seen him somewhere in the social media, and that is the reason I have included him in the in my essays. So this was a bit disappointing from my side, and but I could not do much about it. In one of my essays, I had mentioned about football. So the next question the professor asked me was regarding that, and she asked me to name 5 present Indian footballers. Once I was able to answer the question, I was asked about my favorite football club and to name 5 more footballers from its rival club. The second professor started asking questions. I was involved in volunteering activities at SAP, which is known as the Corporate Social Responsibility Programs, and I was also part of an NGO. So the next question was based on that, and while I was trying to answer the question, I uttered the word sustainability. So the professor picked up that word and asked me a follow-up question based on sustainability. I was not anticipating this question, neither I was aware of the nitty-gritties of sustainability measures. But still, I tried to answer this question to the best of my abilities. I mentioned about global warming and net carbon zero emissions and so on and so forth. Once I finished the answer, the professor smirked and said that he was expecting an answer based on the volunteering side of sustainability. At this point of time, I knew that the interview has gone for a toss and I lost a golden opportunity. However, I kept my cool and tried to put up a smile. Then the professor asked me another question based on my involvement in the CSR activities. He said that nowadays we see many companies investing in many CSR activities. So why do you think when do you think this mindset shift happened, and why did this happen? Again, I was not anticipating this question and I had no clue of the answer. So I just nodded my head and said I am not aware of this question. Later on, I learned that there is a mandate passed by Indian government in 2014 that any private sector companies have to set aside 2% of their profits for CSR activities, and India is the first country to do so. This mandate is based on 3 factors: minimum turnover, minimum profit, and minimum valuation. The professor asked me another question which was based on the budget that had recently passed. I was aware of this question and I gave my viewpoints of the budget. And while I was answering this question, I mentioned that this budget was actually criticized by one of the opposition leaders in the parliament. I was asked a cross question that who was that opposition leader. Fortunately, I knew the answer of it and I mentioned the name. So that was all about the interview process, and as you can expect, I was devastated after the interview experience, and I was not expecting that I would be shortlisted for this program. However, the results came on 23rd of August 2024, just right after 20 days of that interview incident, and I was actually selected for this program. All in all, the interview was on the tougher side, but it was one hell of an experience for me. I want to mention 3 key takeaways from my side based on this interview. The first one is always believe in yourself and do not panic. The interview can be a test of your patience. The second one is whatever you mention in your resume or in your essay, make sure you know everything about it. Don't even miss a single word that you mention in your essay or resume. The third thing is if you do not know any answer to a particular question, just blatantly say, I do not know the answer. It's much better because it gives the opportunity to the interviewer to follow up to the next question rather than you giving a lame answer or beat around the bushes. So that was all about today's video. If you have any questions, please drop an email or you can connect me through LinkedIn, or you can also reach out to me over Instagram. I would make a separate video on the entire application process for IIM Kozhikode. Thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Thank you.